It's hard to believe, but the 2026 legislative session is just around the corner. The governor's proposed budget dropped a week or so ago. We're here to tell you what went down and about what's coming up with it in the session. He's Nate, and I'm Andrew. This is the DLC's Policy Corner.
As we expected and hinted at in the summer, the governor's proposed budget suggests a tight budget year with the cuts at the federal level in H.R. 1 and the estimated $20+ million it will take across Medicaid and food stamps to implement it. So this could have been a very short episode. That said, there are a couple of big things we want to highlight for you. First, there's a $12 million recommendation for individuals already in DSPD services who need more supports. At the same time, there's a suggested cut of $5 million one time and a $1.6 million ongoing that is listed as DSPD program savings. Our current understanding is that DSPD just had a higher than expected amount of funding left over, even with some of it going to support those on the waiting list. We still have some questions on this one, and we'll let you know what we find out.
The other big item we want to mention is the governor's recommendation to address homelessness, which includes $25 million one time for a transformative campus to address homelessness, as well as $20 million ongoing for services and another $5 million to the Other Side Village, the tiny home village in Salt Lake City. These appear to be very low estimates for the proposed campus, especially if it aligns with the Homeless Services Board's model for a 1,000 plus bed homeless shelter and a 300 bed institution for involuntary commitment.
We have many concerns with the proposal, but to keep this short, among them is physical isolation because of the lack of public transportation. And there's also nothing transformative about the forced institutionalization of people with disabilities. In addition, we fear money spent this way will mean less for deeply affordable housing and community-based services. Thus, instead, we need more permanent supportive housing, peer support, intensive case management, and wraparound services for those with severe mental illness. Otherwise, the state will just be warehousing people with disabilities in clear violation of the ADA. We will likely have much more to say about this, as we expect it to be a big part of the conversation during the session.
Other than that, a few more quick recommendations are $1.5 million one time for Baby Watch early intervention to maintain current services, $962,000 ongoing for mandated additional needs for the aging waiver, and $1.7 million for Meals on Wheels. But that really does cover the major pieces of the budget for Utahns with disabilities. However, never fear, there's more. For the first time, we have a special guest on Policy Corner. Our new legal fellow, Sarah Williams, has been following what is going down with the Utah State Schools for the Deaf and Blind as part of her project, and she's here to tell you all about it. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Andrew. It is great to be here at the Policy Corner, and I'm honored to be y'all's first guest. There is a lot going on with the Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind, or USDB. So to break it down, I'm going to go back in time to last session when the education budget amendments were passed. And one of those prompted a USDB working group to be formed, which was tasked to investigate various aspects of USDB and ultimately develop some recommendations. So this working group met several times between June and September of 2025 and ultimately sent their recommendations to the Public Education Appropriations Subcommittee, or the PEA for short. That happened in October, and then the PEA developed its own recommendations to forward to the Executive Appropriations Committee in mid-November. So it was when those PEA recommendations hit the public eye that there was a lot of concern within the deaf and hard of hearing community. And perhaps the most troubling were some proposals to exclude students without an IEP from attending USDB campuses, a proposal to limit comprehensive high school services to the Salt Lake USDB campus, and a proposal to restrict USDB's designation as a student's full-time school district. And so in response, on November 18th, we had over 80 parents and deaf community members gathering at the Hill to attend the executive appropriations meeting just to show their opposition to these recommendations. Following this, the Board of Education responded by holding a meeting where they gathered public input and drafted a response to the PEA's recommendations. So, among other things, the board's response recommended that on-campus attendance continue to be an option for students with both students that have an IEP or students that just have a 504 plan. They recommended that the legislature recommit to the multi-campus model and that USDB continue to meet needs through campus-based high school programs as appropriate. It was December 5th that the full board finalized and unanimously approved this response. So now we have both the executive, now the Executive Appropriations Committee has both the PEA's recommendations and the board's response, which they'll be able to consider for this upcoming legislative session. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Sarah, both for that information and for being our first special guest. As we learn more, Sarah may be back with updates. Until then, you're stuck with us. We'll be back in January with a legislative preview sometime in the week or so before the session to let you know what bills and other items we're watching. As always, the budget and bill trackers will be available on the website, disabilitylawcenter.org/issues/public-policy. The 2026 versions should be updated and live soon. In the meantime, we wish you all a happy holiday season, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you for watching.